Hello and welcome. So, I'm starting something a little bit new this week. I am going to be doing a really quick video every Monday that basically just talks through and brings to life the How to Have Great CX newsletter from that week. As you know, every week in the newsletter, I share one insight, one quote, and one article. And yeah, I just felt a video could bring it to life a little bit more, add a bit more context, and I can share the reason why I picked that for the newsletter. So that is going to be the plan every week now. So let's talk about this week's. So the insight was around customer personas, and it was really seeing Ozzy Osbourne's face pop up on LinkedIn that caught my eye. And what a visual this is. Personas are one of the key tools within my customer experience operating system, and I love them because they really help you avoid treating customers like one big generic group, which is so easy to do, right? It's easy just to see them as customers. And they're more than that. They're humans, they've got different challenges and different needs. So it's really, really important that every organization has customer personas. And as the image highlights in a really smart way, personas aren't about demographics. King Charles and Ozzy might tick the same boxes in terms of demographics, but their worlds can be more different. And it's pretty easy to segment by location and age, sex, or income. But it's much, much harder and more valuable to understand their problems, their challenges, their needs, and kind of what their goals are. And this is really where personas bring the most value. So in the newsletter, I shared a few pointers to help develop your personas around how to bring them to life a little bit more by giving them kind of real life names like Bob or Jane, and feel free to be more creative than this. Use existing insights that you've got, and most organizations have enough insight to be able to start building their personas and really try and build them on kind of pain points. That definitely lands better than assumptions. I also share a tip around really focus on what changes your service design. Personas are a tool that should help you make a decision. So it should drive decisions and really drive action in your organization. And the other tip that I shared around personas is don't wait for perfect, just start. It's okay if you've not done it before. It's okay if you've got partial insights. It's okay if the first drafts maybe don't add that much value. Just get started. So yeah, my question for you really was, do your personas drive decisions? And if you don't have personas, what are you waiting for? So my quote this week was from a random guy called John Wooden. I've got no idea who he is, but it's a pretty neat and tidy quote that actually just kind of gave me a little kind of nudge around this being a problem in customer experience. And it's, don't mistake activity for achievement. And I see organizations fall into this trap, busy doing lots of improvement work without really understanding the impact. So when I ask you, what have you achieved in the last 6 months? You're probably thinking about activities that you've done, but what did they achieve? And I think we need to be so much better at this in customer experience. What did the customer journey map design achieve? What did the last 3 months of customer surveys achieve? What did your latest customer insights pack achieve? And I'm not saying that we don't celebrate activity and progress, because I'm all about having the right habits and working in the shadows, and we do need to praise and recognize that, but this doesn't mean we tag it as achievement itself. So my question for you to reflect on is, can you clearly explain the impact your recent customer experience work has had beyond the activity itself? And the article in the newsletter is called Struggling to Improve Customer Satisfaction. If so, read this. And this is all about the fact that in 2021, around that time, it kind of really dawned on me that kind of effort and passion isn't enough. And actually, by researching different organizations and sectors and really trying to understand why did some organizations find it easy to be customer centric, and why do others just struggle? And it's easy to assume it's just down to effort and passion, but that wasn't it at all. And most organizations are full of kind of brilliant people in CX teams that are kind of full of passion and effort and positive intent. So what's going wrong? Well, over the last kind of 5 years plus, I've began to spot reoccurring patterns with the same roadblocks coming up again and again. And I've called these the 8 customer experience problems. So I talk about survey addiction, that most organizations are addicted to surveys. We just over rely on them, we overplay them, and they've become, in some organizations, a bit of a governance tick box. I talk about disconnected customer experience teams. A lot of them feel like a little island off the mainland, and the mainland being the rest of the organisation. So it's really important to have connected CX teams that really align to the wider business priorities. The third problem that I see is reactive operating models. It's too many organisations are working downstream, and actually, if you take a step back and you look at all of your systems and policies and processes, it's really focused on supporting the downstream, and actually, it's not really looking at how you invest in prevention. And I think it's because working downstream is quite addictive, right? It's like a game of whack-a-mole, and I think as humans we just love to fix things, and we love to have that dopamine hit that you get from those short-term tactical fixes. But customer experience, one of the key roles of it is to prevent bad experience from happening. It's to prevent contacts from happening that shouldn't be. That's a core part of it. So we need to make sure our operating models really support the vision and really support being more preventative. The fourth problem is something I called process first, customer second. And it's really easy and tempting to always think about the process first. And I think for the non-customer teams across your business, a lot of them are thinking about the policy and the process first, rather than thinking about what the experience should be, what the outcomes you want to be, what's the value that you want to offer, and then how do you reverse engineer the supporting infrastructure around the customer, not the other way around. The fifth problem is something I've called neglecting the 20%, and it's an absolute fact that it's fairly easy to design for 80% of customers and situations. Most businesses can do that, but actually the real magic happens in the other 20%, those edge cases, those people that fall through the cracks, those with complex needs. And if you don't handle this 20% with care, it will really cost you, and it will cause 80% of your work through failure demand. The sixth problem is something called customer experience is horizontal, not vertical. And this is all about CX teams being seen as just a vertical service function rather than a horizontal organisation-wide capability, a bit like technology, HR and finance. And as a result, CX team are just pushing against the tide. And to be honest with you, they are not set up to succeed. They're gonna fail, and it's not fair on the leaders and teams that are part of that. There's a real tug of war between kind of operational delivery and that kind of strategic role that you play across the organization. And I always talk about, it's almost like asking your IT service desk to lead your digital transformation. It's different goals, different skills, different capabilities, but many organizations have just rebranded customer service and as customer experience and hoped for the best. The seventh problem is something called not turning insight into action. And most organizations don't have a data or insight problem. They have an action problem. Insight just becomes passive, a business as usual activity, just going through the motions, and it doesn't land and it doesn't have impact. So it's really key to build a vehicle that can move that insight into reality. And the final problem is not linking customer experience to finances. It's just not good enough to be improving customer experience without a clear understanding of how it either reduces operational costs or increases revenue. If you can't evidence it, even a hypothesis that needs validating, then you have to question the value it brings. Okay? And I then talk about the solution, which is something called the Customer Experience Operating System, and I've put a link in how you can download the playbook for free. So that is this week's newsletter. This is the first video of its kind, so hopefully they will kind of get better each week. But yeah, if you're still here, thank you for watching.